very good Monday evening to you. It is the 14th day of October 2013, 2 years since the Kenya Defense Forces entered Somalia to fight the Al-Shabaab. Many thanks for joining us on KTN Prime.
Indeed, and just like we have been doing the previous week, this evening we will have a sign language interpreter. Allow him to introduce himself. And I believe he's trying to say, my name is William Silla, and you're watching KTN Prime. William, thank you so much. We brought William in to make sure that our brothers and sisters who cannot hear us will be able to be part of this bulletin. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's move on. Ben?
Well, now, the ICC cases against President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto are no longer personal.
Well, that's the government's new position on the Hague trials that have introduced a whole new twist to the quest for the truth and justice over the post-election violence.
Poised Amina Mohammed stood before the press Monday afternoon, her first address after the African Union unanimously resolved that President Uhuru Kenyatta should skip his upcoming trial at the International Criminal Court.
We were extremely humbled and were very grateful to have been witness to an Africa that was rising.
But her composure could not shield her from the myriad of questions that followed concerning the president's trial, which kicks off in November. One resounding question would take the country down memory lane during the pre-election presidential debate when Uhuru Kenyatta had to convince Kenyans of his ability to rule the country while clearing his name at The Hague.
I take this as a personal challenge. I'm sure that my colleagues here also have other challenges. But those challenges do not prevent one from continuing with their day-to-day job. If the people of Kenya do decide to vote for me as their president, I will be able to handle the issue of clearing my name, while at the same time ensuring that the business of government continues.
The new stand by the Foreign Affairs Secretary portrays that position as having taken a back seat.
The minute that he was elected into office, they stopped being personal problems. They first became national problems and eventually regional problems.
Asked if the president will heed the AU's call to skip his trial.
Are we going to ignore the decision? How can we? How can we? We are part and parcel of the AU and have been since 1963.
But this new wave of Pan-Africanism has been questioned across the continent.
The famine that is ravaging the continent, the corruption and impunity that is also ravaging the continent. So there are many more issues that are of a more serious Pan-Africanist dimension than just the indictment, which tends to affect one or two, three countries, important as those countries may be.
It wasn't the only issue in the discussion. We discussed Lampedusa, for instance, and the many Africans that lost their lives in sea. We discussed issues that related to the Westgate attack. We discussed issues that relate to integration. We elected a new commissioner for peace and security for the continent.
Whether or not the president will choose to attend his trial, Kenyans will be observing the political and diplomatic toll that the Kenyan cases will have on the African continent. Asha Mwilu, KTN,